inspire.
Welcome back to Starting Now. I'm your host, Jeff Sarris. This is another NFT episode of the show where I am talking to Parin Heidari. And Parin has been an artist deep down for an entire life, but NFTs were the thing, the catalyst. The NFTs basically created the moment where she has finally been able to call herself a full-time artist. She's been a graphic designer. She founded a design and branding agency. She's done a lot throughout the years, but everything she's done has led to this moment, and she's done everything right. She's approached it as a community-first approach. She has connected with people in the space, in NFTs, other artists, and like her story is great, and I think it's very inspiring to show you how you can approach any new space, whether it's NFTs as an artist or an entrepreneurial endeavor. Building your community and connecting with people is so valuable, and Parin's story is the perfect example of that. So without further ado, my conversation with Parin Heidari. Have you always lived in Italy?
No, I was born in Iran 35 years ago. And for like 23 years, I was there. I studied in Iran. I went to scientific school, but then I went to the artistic university. I studied fine art. And then, when you hear Italy, all that you remember is architecture, art, good food, beautiful people. So I chose Italy to continue my studying here. And so I've been living here since 2010.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yes.
You said scientific school. Like, what were you going for initially?
Well, this school is, so I don't know how to explain that like really well, but we have, in Iran, we have elementary school, junior high school, and then high school.
Mm-hmm.
And when you finish your elementary school, there is an exam to enter this specific school that I went to. And every year, almost like 1 million students, because there are like 80 million people also living there. So 1 million students, they from all over Iran, they take this test to enter this scientific school that they only take like 80 or 90 students.
Oh, wow.
And usually everyone who comes out of this school from like junior high school and then high school, they end up at MIT or Harvard. Like the people are they're really smart there. I don't say I am, but I mean the people there. But then I entered that school, and then I studied physics, chemistry, science in general. I really loved robotics. I really loved that. And I wanted to be an astronaut when I was like 11 or 12. So I was very happy with that school. But then when I was around like 16, I felt like there's something in me that is always asking me to continue studying art rather than science. So that started like those years. And I really loved comic strips and like cartoons, caricature, and then animation. I really, really loved animations. And I asked my parents if they let me leave that school, because that's a very, very important school to study at.
Yeah.
And obviously my mom wasn't happy about it at all, because she was like, no, this school is really amazing. And you can, end up at MIT or like any university in the world that you want to. But I want to be an artist. That's it. So I studied art in Iran at one of the art universities there. And since then, I've been the happiest girl in the world.
Yeah, that's awesome. What was the thing that spoke to you that you knew? Was there any catalyst that helped you realize, like, no, this is actually the path that I want? Like, art is my future.
I think I usually couldn't talk about my emotions, or especially when I was sad, because the image that people from me always had, or are still they have in mind, is like a very happy, energetic, positive girl, and she has no problem. So that's the image that everybody has from me. But the thing is that I obviously, like any other person in the world, I also have problems, or there's something that I'm not able to talk about because I am very extrovert, but I feel like I'm also introvert. I don't know how it works. But I think I'm like a combination of like extrovert, introvert that um, I think art helped me a lot in order to express my feelings. And whenever I wanted to take some time off from anything, the only thing that I was doing was drawing from the people. And if you see my work, it's like 90% people's, 100% people's
Yeah.
portraits, like all my drawings. And I think I wanted to be an engineer. I wanted to be an astronaut. I loved to build robots because robots for me are like so interesting. But deep down, I was sure there was something else that I could be better at rather than, like building these robots. And I just like, let's all, I don't know, people all over the world that are way better than me do that. So I think it started with expressing my emotions. If I want to say like how it was that.
Yeah.
And I just loved that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. What were some of the first things that you did then that sort of connected you with your emotions through your art?
I think I was 3 or 4 that I started drawing on my wall. And I have a sister. I only have one sibling, one sister that she's 9 years older than me. She's so organized. And we used to share a big room together because obviously we love each other. And she wanted to always be with me, spend time with me. And her part of the room was so tidy and clean and organized. And mine was a mess because I had like all my Legos and cars, and I didn't have much dolls. I didn't like dolls that much, but like robots, because my father, like when I was 3, he brought me a robot from Japan, like one of these little one. And I think that love started by seeing that toy. And I started drawing with crayons on my wall, and no one was happy about that in the house, obviously,
Yeah.
because they didn't say anything. I can't remember. I was only 3 or 4. But then I realized I could easily use whatever that was just like beside, like around me, to draw and draw and draw. And since then I never stopped drawing. Never. Like every day, it doesn't matter where I am. Like I'm at a restaurant, there's like a piece of paper or like tissue or whatever. I just like draw and wall, like everywhere. So
Yeah,
it
I love
started
that.
32 years ago.
Yeah, I mean you've clearly found like your passion and your like where you just come alive in the art, especially when it just happens. It emotes out of you. That's awesome. And I love now that created you've created your entire like your journey through your art now because you're a full-time artist, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Finally.
So what were you when did you sort of move over to full time?
um 3 months ago.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's awesome because like
Because of
yeah,
NFTs.
that everything opens up because suddenly your customer base, your collectors, your like community is accessible. It's no longer just like right around where you are. Before we dive into NFTs, what was your journey, sort of the steps moving up? What have you been doing alongside art to like pay the bills and things? So I'd like to dive into the origin stories to sort of show people like we all have a different path, but all of these, I feel like the more stories we hear, the more we realize, oh, I can see my path through this person or that person or whatever it is. So yeah, like so what was the journey up to now full-time artist?
Wow, I love to talk about that. And I hope I can be inspiring for some people that they cannot find like which path they want to take. So I was, I think 16 or 17 back in Iran that I started working at a bookstore because I really, really loved art books. And there was this big bookstore that I had a lot of like art books that I could always like organize and talk about them to the customers. So that was my part-time job. And it's not really common in Iran for the people before graduating to work because families are always so supportive, and it's quite different from Europe. When I came here, I just saw everybody's working here. And for us, it's not when you're like 22, 23, little by little you start working. But I wanted to see people every day new people, not only my classmates, for example, or my friends. So, and also like I really love those books. So it started like my first job was working at that bookstore. And thanks to that bookstore, I started getting to know some books like Bauhaus, for example, or different styles in art, cubism, and like everything. And before that, I was also doing cartoons at a really amazing place called House of Cartoon in Iran. That all the cartoonists, like the best ones in Iran, were my teachers. So I always had great people in my life to show me the way. But as I said, my brain was always like in half art, math, or art science, and I really couldn't choose one. I couldn't. Like I was like 50%, 50%. So when I came to Italy, I studied industrial design and visual communication at the Polytechnic University. Again, I couldn't find like the best way to divide these to like art and math. So I studied again engineering, but we had like graphic design course as well. Right after it was my last year at the university that we had to do an internship, and I wanted to again go to another country because I was in Italy for 3 years. Then I chose the Netherlands because I really love Amsterdam and the Netherlands, and art usually in like the Northern Europe is quite different from like Southern. And I wanted to also go to that like minimal lifestyle and to just explore Northern Europe. So I went to Amsterdam. I started working at a really great studio called Shosho Amsterdam, it was called. The name is Japanese. And I went there and I was an intern. Then I started working there as a graphic designer. So my job, my first artistic job was that. Then after a year, I came back to Italy. I became an art director and web designer. Little by little, I started getting to know like what UX design was, UI design was. But again, they are art, but they're not like full art. You still have computer, you still have like that 50% of like scientific brain was helping me. And I really loved marketing as well. I wanted to just learn, that's why I just changed jobs from graphic design to UI designer, UX designer. And then I went back to Iran. I worked there at a really cool architecture studio as well, and to do like environmental graphic design. But again, my dream since I was 3 years old was become an artist. I just wanted to become an artist. So I was a graphic designer. Graphic design is art, but it's not, you still have clients. Mm-hmm. You still have, deadlines. You still have stress. You have stress.
Oh yeah.
you have lots of stress. And then that was not good for me because I realized that I cannot stay at an office they say 8, but like 12 hours a day sometimes. And then you have to work at the weekends as well. And you always have complaints, always, because no one likes the first sketches and then they can't see the process that you are thinking of. As soon as they just see the first sketch, they're like, no, this is, and I know that that's not what the client wants, but it's very difficult. So for years, that was my job. Then I thought maybe if I have my own studio, it helps me. Own branding studio. So with a good friend of mine, 2 years ago, we started having our own studio, and we had good clients from all over the world, from the US, from Europe, from Iran, from everywhere. But it wasn't obviously like money wise, it was great. And also because like I was the CEO of the company, but still the stress was there. We have great freelancers, but still it wasn't art. I wasn't happy about it. I liked it. When you say you own a company, it feels good because you are an entrepreneur and then you also help other people. You decide which projects you want to take. Like you have much freedom rather than being an employee, but still it wasn't art for me. If I want to say like that studio that you have paint everywhere and canvases, no, that is art for me. That was being an artist, full-time artist. And it was in March or April, I think, that I went one day to Clubhouse,
Uh-huh.
and my life has changed. So if you want to ask anything before NFT, I'm here, and then otherwise I just go to NFT and what happened, and yeah.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, so the studio was 102 Studio, right? Was the one that you
Yes, that
founded.
was
Yeah.
one too.
Um
Yes.
how cuz you're working with freelancers, were you doing a lot of like the in the weeds work, I would say, of the design still, or being like the CEO, were then you more managing the company?
No, I was also designing. I was
Okay,
doing
cool.
everything.
Yeah.
I was a manager in order to, talk to the clients
Mhm.
and deciding, for example, which project I like to take. And I was always also asking from the freelancers which one they like to work on, because for me it's very important to always have a very happy team.
Oh yeah.
I hate ordering to the people. I don't want to ask them, like, you must do that. No, I don't want that. So for example, I had like 5 or 6 different proposals or different emails, let's say, that I was receiving during the week. And then I was asking that from my freelancers, that which one they like to work on. And obviously we all, like, one of them, that she's a great graphic designer from Iran. For her it only takes like 3 hours to do the first sketch, because for years she's been doing that and she has great ideas, and I really really like her style. So whatever that she usually designs, I never change them. I only have like few opinions sometimes, but the rest of them she's amazing. And some projects that they need drawing, for example, I still do the drawings, but um I really want to take like 1 or 2 projects a year, and that's it, not more than
Yeah.
that, and really work well on those, and give the freedom to my freelancers to do whatever they want to, because I really trust them. And then that's it, and they're happy, I'm also very happy. So
Yeah.
that's what I really love about that studio, but
Yeah.
I'm not going to close that down. That's there.
Oh yeah, well you've built it. Yeah, there's no reason to
Yes.
like shut it down or anything. Yeah, because like we do the same
Exactly.
thing. Like me and my business partner, we have a branding agency. We started with web design, and it's grown over time. It's the two of us though. Like we don't do any freelancers, but there
Ah,
are
okay.
so many other aspects that you have to
Mhm.
manage when you're doing running a company like that. That
Yes.
I can imagine. I mean, having to do the emails, having to worry about the things is a little. It's taxing when what you want to do is focus on the art, and that there's a lot to balance. So I love now that you've been able to, as a result of NFTs, transition over to full art. So what was it? How did you end up on Clubhouse? What was the like room? What were they talking about that drew you in? Where you're like, ooh, this is what I need to try.
You will laugh a lot if I tell you about my first experience on Clubhouse. So, first experience wasn't in April, it was in February 24th, I guess, the first day that I actually installed Clubhouse. So, One Two Studio, it's me and a friend of mine. She's also a great photographer. She's also in NFT space now.
Nice.
We built this studio together. She invited me to Clubhouse because she heard about this app. And we both were in Milan, Italy. We both were like in a house, and we just realized like our other friends are in Clubhouse and chatting to each other. So for us, Clubhouse was a really just like normal app that our friends were chatting. We had no idea how the app worked those days. So for like maybe a month, I never went back to Clubhouse, because to me it was just like something like WhatsApp, which gives you the chance to have like a group chat. And then suddenly a good friend, and also my very dear teacher in art, when I was 11, he actually brought me to the art world. He was my cartoon teacher. And he lives in the US. He came back to Iran and he was talking about NFTs to me, only for I think 2 or 3 sentences about NFT, because he had no idea about NFT either. His nephew talked about NFT to him, and he said, "Yes, there is this world of like crypto and art, NFT." And then we moved on to other discussions. That's I just had the word NFT. I was like, okay, I need to know what NFT was. 3 days later, I was on Clubhouse. I was, I think, in like 20 different clubs of NFT. every day I was just going from this room to the other room. I was shaking at the beginning because it was so stressful because I couldn't see the people. And yeah, I do speak English, but I'm quite shy. Maybe I am extrovert, but I'm shy. So I was in this very big room. I think it was an American room, 3 in the morning in Iran, which was like 9 p.m. in New York. And I was so sleepy. And suddenly someone called my name. I was in the room for like 8 hours, I guess. I was just listening to the people. I loved it so much. And suddenly an Iranian person called my name in English. So I woke up and I was like, oh my God, I have to speak. So I just jumped to the stage and I think I only spoke for maybe 5 seconds. So this person is called Payman and he invited me to the stage and he said, hey, Parin, and how are you? Are you from Iran? And I was like, yes, I am from, my voice was shaking. It was Art Jedi and Payman, these two people that they called me. And since then, I started talking on Clubhouse. But obviously, the first weeks, I wasn't too confident to speak there because it's quite difficult for the people at the beginning. But now I can speak for like 12 hours
Nice.
nonstop. Yes.
All right, so
That was the first day.
are you currently still very active on Clubhouse?
I'm not too active on Clubhouse now because I'm working on a very exciting project that it's going to be revealed in 2 days on my
Nice.
Discord because I'm working on my Discord. Discord is going to be live tomorrow. And this project took me days, really days to think about. And I had to like draw a really good roadmap as well for that. And I didn't want to be too active because when I'm on Clubhouse, I really cannot work at the same time.
Yeah.
I worked and I made a collection based on what I was hearing from the people on Clubhouse, but that was it because otherwise it's quite difficult to be concentrated on my work while I also have to be present because if you only listen to them like a podcast, it's easy. But if you want to talk to the people, it's impossible to work. So
Yeah.
I kind of like took like a month off Clubhouse in order to work on my other project. So hopefully people will like the project.
Yeah. So I want to dive into your art and your style and sort of how you've then grown because you have done amazingly well because you're around like 200 ETH traded, I think, right? Across your projects. Yeah.
Yes, I can't believe that.
Yeah, which is amazing. Like, congrats on that. That's so awesome. And so you have like your one-line drawing style. And is that just maybe describe your art a little bit for someone that's listening who hasn't seen it yet?
Sure. Yes, I do one-line drawings. I know a few artists around the world that they do one-line drawings, and I think the first time that I started one-line drawings, I thought I was the first one who does that in the world. Sometimes we think we're the first ones, but then I realized, no, that's actually a big style that it helps a lot of people focus, and also it helps you bring all your thoughts without thinking that much about drawing something perfectly as well. For me, at the beginning, it was because of lack of time, to be honest, because it started many years ago when I was going to the university by bus or underground. And, you know, I love people watching because I learn a lot from the faces and emotions, and it's just beautiful. I really love that. I love people and cultures, different styles, different behaviors. I think it's really wonderful to be surrounded by people from not even like all over the world, because like in Iran we didn't have much international people, but already from like different cities, different cultures. And then when I come to Europe, oh my God, like my whole life has changed because people from everywhere, different colors. It was just amazing. And I wanted to you know, like record all those mornings when I was on the bus on the way to the university. So I had my sketchbook and only one black pen. That's it. And sometimes, like that person in front of me was there only for 4 seconds. So all that I could do was like to draw them very quickly. And most of those drawings were not even like a face because they're just some lines. And little by little, I just realized maybe I can draw their faces, not the faces that I see, but how I feel that person is, or what they're thinking of, or maybe I don't see the real face behind those eyes. So I was trying like to make different characters every day, and with just one continuous line. And then I realized, yes, obviously I'm not the only one in the world who does that. One line drawing is something that you don't have to lift your pen. You just start from one point and you end your drawing. It depends, sometimes in 2 seconds, sometimes in a minute, but usually not more than a minute. And it's a speed drawing. Sometimes I don't look at my paper. Sometimes I close my eyes. Sometimes I draw with my left hand. So you can play a lot of things around it, and I really love that. So that's my style. One of the styles that I'm working
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and did I see that sometimes do you draw with both hands simultaneously, or you switch between when you're doing it?
No, at the same time. Like I draw them, I start, and then I end at the same time.
That's wild. But like you said, you have sort of that left brain, right brain, like the science brain, the art brain smushed together. So I guess it only makes sense that you would be ambidextrous, I guess, to be able to do that. And yeah, very impressive. But yeah, I really love your style and love the art that you create. And how then have you built up your collector base, your community, and like connected with people to like have such success? Because I know a lot, like it's an amazing space where you can connect now, but it's hard because there are a lot of artists, but there are a lot of collectors at the same time. So there's like a thread there that I think can really help people.
Yes, exactly. I think the very first thing that I can say is I loved this space since I joined there. Um, I had few moments of doubt, or like feeling down or feeling a bit hopeless, but I never ever lost my hope, because I think that's a part of my personality, that I never ever lose hope. And as soon as I see like obstacles, I think about plan B, plan C, plan D till like plan Z. So many times I hear from the people that they suddenly lose hope because they don't sell. I never thought about selling my pieces, if I want to be honest. The first day when I entered that room, big American room with 200 amazing people, like I really like all of them now because I know almost like all of them. I just heard the stories from the people. I heard laughter, positivity, sense of humor, everything that I really liked, and I always have tried to be surrounded with were there first day. So obviously my first time being on Clubhouse was so positive. And I think for 3 months, I couldn't sleep because most of the rooms, because of the time difference, and because when you sleep, you feel like you're losing a lot. You're missing a lot, not losing a lot of information or people or moments that they can help you to build a better future or better life in general on Clubhouse and Twitter spaces in NFT world, let's say. Building the community for me happened without me knowing that I was building a community, because all that I did was I just talked to the people. I talked to them. I never wanted to do marketing. The word shilling, I had no idea what the meaning was, but then I realized shilling your work means you have to talk about your work. I never did that because I'm shy. And I always say people can click on my profile and they see my work. So I don't need to talk about it unless they ask me. And something that it's very important for me is to be supportive. So when people were in different rooms and I was a mod, instead of me talking about my work, I I thought, okay, I was there for an hour, so let's talk to everyone here to understand what they want to do or what they are doing or if they need any help. So I think the community was already built by me doing that, and I had no idea about it. I just love communicating with the people. And that's it. And I mean, that's how it happened at the beginning. And then NFT community for me became my family. My father, he's 75. He knows almost 300 people in NFT community already. Every day I'm calling him. I'm like, yeah, he said this, she said this. Like, they're my family. They're my second family. So it wasn't to sell my pieces. Like, really, it wasn't for
Oh yeah.
that. But then when my sales started, I had like 10, 100 times more motivation than before. I was really motivated to create more, to sell more, to be inspiring more, and to be able to buy more from my friends and from everyone in the NFT community. So it's a cycle that you start selling, then you support, then people support you. So I think it's just energies, like it's just like turning around from you, and then it comes back to you like 10 times stronger and better. So this is all about my feelings about NFT community, and I just love it so much.
Oh yeah, because it's like any sort of selling is relationship based, and I love that you went in for the relationship first, which is I think it's more rare. Like you said, shilling. Like there's a lot of shilling out there where people are like, oh, buy this, buy this, buy this, but like to see that, it's like, well, I don't know this person. Well, I don't have a connection to them yet. But yeah, that's hugely valuable, no matter the business, whether it's art or design or anything. But building that community and connecting with people in a real way, yeah, you can
Yes,
really go far.
exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. My very first sale happened 5 minutes after I talked on Clubhouse for the first time.
that's
So
awesome.
that was something that I had only 3 drawings on OpenSea, and so it was like night, almost like late, also at night in somewhere in the US. I can't remember where, but my first collector, Josh, he bought my piece right after he heard about me and my story. And I didn't even talk about I draw with 2 hands. The piece that he bought from me, I think I had drawn that with 1 hand, but without looking at my paper. So he probably didn't know that. He bought that. It was called Insomnia, and he had insomnia that night.
Oh,
So
nice.
he just saw the piece, and he just after that he said that he really liked the piece and also the name and the feeling that he had that night. And right after, obviously, the first night when I had my sale, I had so much like excitement to draw more, to share more, and since then I never stopped.
Yeah. So what's your approach now? Like how often do you create a new piece and yeah, how often do you create currently? Do you have any sort of schedule?
um, it's been years that I create every day. Like
Mhm.
there is no day in my life, doesn't matter where I am, even at weddings, I create. Like I always have my sketchbook.
Yeah.
Now, thanks to NFT, I bought my new iPad, and like I have it everywhere with me. Before it was my computer with my Wacom tablet for like years, and my sketchbook. Now it's my iPad, and wherever I go, I just create and create. And most of the times, I shared those ones. I work more on them, and I shared those ones also for NFT on my collection. But this Find Your Face collection, the one that was about the people in the community, that I really like that collection because by looking at the faces, I just remember the voices and the days that I get so emotional, to be honest, when I just go to that collection. And the new project is connected to that, again, something much bigger, and it's interactive this time. Not the pieces, but the process of making the pieces is much more interactive. So this one will take probably like 5 or 6 weeks. So that's different from my usual one-line drawings. It really depends on the piece. Sometimes it takes me like 5 days to finish one piece. Sometimes in a day I can finish like 2 or 3 pieces, not more than that. I can't remember if I finish like 3 pieces or more in a day. But yes, 2, 3, I can do that.
Yeah. Yeah. And do you then like do you usually list them on OpenSea right away when you're done? Do you have sort of an approach that you find works best for you?
I'm learning a lot, to be honest,
Hmm.
because at the beginning I was just listing them, and in general, NFT um, has been teaching me a lot A lot in every aspect. If I want to talk about it, it takes me days to talk about. Like, it's a school of life for me.
Uh-huh.
The most important thing that I've been learning was to be patient, because I'm usually not really patient. I am if I have like a goal that I really want to. For example, I want to come to the US, and probably for me it takes like months or maybe a year. So I'm very patient for that. But when it comes to doing something quickly, I'm really not patient. I really want to finish that quickly. So for NFT, the first weeks I was like that. I was drawing something, I liked it, I was listening to that without even chilling, without talking about it. So sometimes they were there for like, I don't know, 10 days or 20 days. Sometimes quickly they were sold. But now I'm learning that a lot, because people that they're great at marketing are helping me as well. But I don't want to do like really marketing, because then it it changes it.
Yeah.
The ones that are helping me are artists that they kind of like have strategies, not the marketing people, salesmen. No, it doesn't work for art. So I learned to drop, for example, once or twice a week. Before that, talk about the pieces over and over. So it let people decide whether they like the piece or not, rather than me saying that today at 7 p.m., I'm gonna, for example, drop a piece. Before that, I post that on Twitter over and over. People from all over the world with like different time schedule can see them.
Mhm.
And then if they like them, I say, okay, for example, today, 12 p.m. EST, this piece is going to be dropped, 3 of 3, and the price is that. So they have time to also organize and schedule. I'm learning that. Before I wasn't like that. I was just like dropping them, listing them, goodbye, waiting for the email to say from OpenSea that your item was sold. So this is something that I'm trying to make it much better, well organized, and I think I'm doing that. People say I'm doing that well,
Uh-huh.
so I hope so.
Yeah. Yeah. Are there any specific people that you recommend following for someone who's trying to learn just like you are?
Wow, a lot of
Oh,
people.
yeah,
There are
I'm
many
sure.
people. Many people. The thing is that if I want to say, for example, about being creative in how to drop your project, because there are a lot of things like utility token. In order to sell that piece, there's one piece to sell, and then people can enter to, for example, your next collection thanks to the first piece that they buy. But then the pieces in the next collections will cost much lower than the for normal people. For example, they cost like 1 ETH. For the ones that they have that utility token, every time is like 1/5 of the normal piece for them, and all these things. So there are a lot of people like Farah. She's called, okay, this is not the good pronunciation for it. I'm learning. Farah Manley, that I'm learning a lot from her.
Mhm.
She's an architect based in Canada. Sabet, um, Gabe Weiss, Tom Fry. There are a lot of people. Like the list is non-ending. Dario Di Siena, I'm learning a lot from Dario as well. Who else? Oh my God, I really don't want to miss anyone.
Oh, yeah.
There are like more than 200 people.
Uh,
Wes Henry as well. Early Warm. So I'm just like every day trying to see these collections. And obviously, usually when you see people's collections that you find your style quite close to them, you also get inspired more by them. Either you like the personality or work, and then little by little you go and find out, for example, what is their strategy. And then it's not like only for strategy, it's always like a big combination of everything.
oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you balance that then? Because, like you said, it's hard to be consuming or engaging while you're like creating. It's that whole deep work. I don't know if you ever read that book by Cal Newport, but it's a really great book about. It's called Deep Work, and it's all about that focus and mindfully approaching the task at hand, and like the task being I'm creating this art versus like consuming and engaging. So yeah, how do you balance the two?
I've never thought about it, and I don't know how. It's
Okay.
difficult. I don't know. I think every day when I wake up, usually I try not to check my phone right away. So I take like 5 minutes, and then right after I check my phone, my Twitter, my Discord. And obviously when I wake up, because of the time difference, I already have a lot of like messages everywhere. And I always try to be very engaging, and I don't want to miss anything, but also sometimes it becomes too overwhelming. And then I have to like take a couple of days off, 5 days, 4 days, maybe a couple of hours. It really depends. But I need that time as well, because I think my body also has like a battery, and the battery goes discharged right away. So I need to take some day off. And then when I'm there, when I'm, for example, in front of my computer, usually it never happens with like scheduling something beforehand. I just see all the notifications, and then after like half an hour, I just close my computer, work on my iPad for an hour or two, then I come back again. So my notifications are always off. That's why I never get distracted by anything. Only my WhatsApp notification is on because of my parents.
Yeah.
But like overall, most of the things are off, and unless I want to go and check them. So I think that's very helpful. But then I go there for like half an hour, I talk to everyone, I mention everyone on Discord, hey, how are you? How's your day? And then right after, we all again go continue our works. I think it's the same for everyone in NFT community. I know some people that they're very active on Clubhouse, but they haven't done any projects yet. They're still building their community for months, which is amazing. And then, for example, one of the great people there is going to, I think, have her project like in a couple of days. And for 5 or 6 months, she built this amazing community around her. So that's also a way to do that. And then when you have your project, you eventually like kind of like fade and do more work rather than staying on Clubhouse. So for me, it's working like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because that is a lot. And I saw like in your description, you also reference minimalism in your art and removing things. Does that play a role in your personal life, or specifically the art? Sort of, how does that fit into your life?
Oh, wow. Again, I never thought about it. Yes, in my life, I think I really don't like complication in general.
Mhm.
It can be in relationships, it can be in like any kind of relationships, friendship with my parents, with my like everywhere. This complication, I don't like that. I always say you can make everything really simple if you don't make it complex. That's it. So in life, like the way that I dress is always the same. Like I don't like having 1,000 things on me. Colors are usually simple. My house as well, and my friends, I have like 4 or 5 best friends. I don't have one best friend. No, sorry. I have like 6 maybe best friends. But also I know a lot of people in my life. But then again, I don't want to make it like crowded or overwhelming. So I feel like minimalism is great for you if you have like the mentality for that. And it helps you clear, like to think about everything clearly, rather than just like having a lot of doubts, a lot of like overthinking, or I don't know. People make everything complicated. I don't get it.
Yeah.
Not everyone, but like most of the times, all of the problems around the world, or like even in your private life, it comes from making everything complicated, and it's not necessary, I guess. So in my art, sometimes I add a lot of colors, and they're not minimal anymore. Especially in my last collection, I add shadow colors because the subject needed that. And I feel like for me, if I wanted to, for example, leave that with only one line, it wasn't too effective. So it's not that always I stay minimal. I can't. Again, for I think the brain that has like 2 parts. One part sometimes is always minimal. The other part still needs some more added things. So I hope I could answer to your question.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because you may be taking away things that maybe would be superfluous or something that didn't like fit, but in the end, it's the piece that you want to express. Like that's like you mentioned the feelings and connecting with the emotions and things of that piece specifically. But yeah, This has been great. Like, I really appreciate you taking the time and diving into your
No,
story.
thank you for inviting. Thank you so much. It's my pleasure.
Oh,
Really.
yeah. So where should we send people to check out your work, check you out on Twitter and everywhere else?
I have Linktree,
Mm-hmm.
Linktree/Parin Designs, and there you can find all of the different like handles. I'm working on my website. The website is not ready yet because, as I said, like, I'm working on many different things at the same time. So my friend is helping me building my website as well. But if the website will be ready probably in like 3 or 4 days, all of the links are there as well. My Instagram is Parin Designs. My Twitter is Parin Heidari, which is my surname, and Parin Designs, Parin Heidari, Parin Art is my Discord. And I think all of them are on my Instagram. So if you click on Parin Designs, there's a link to on my Instagram with all of the links. OpenSea Foundation, hopefully soon Non-Origin. Today I just applied for them as well. And also, all of the Twitter handle and everything is on my Linktree for now.
Perfect. Well, yeah. Thank you again. I really appreciate it. This has been great.
Sure. Sure. That was really my pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I want to thank Parin for joining me on this episode. Be sure to head on over to her Twitter account where you can find links to everything she's up to, and that is Parin Heidari. ParinHeidari. As always, this episode of Starting Now is brought to you by Built. At Built, we help you get started online. Whether you want to start a blog or a business, head on over to built.co. That's BYLT.co to get started. Built, your website, built for you, simply. Finally, if you're enjoying the show, I would love it if you subscribed on YouTube, gave it a little thumbs up, and just let me know. You can DM me on Twitter. I'm at Jeff Sarris, and I'd love to hear from you. Well, that'll do it for this week. Again, I am Jeff Sarris, and I will see you next time.